How's it going, people? Good morning. We don't really have a sit rep yet. Not enough has happened. Yeah, we are streaming pretty early. Let me get some tea going and then we'll start, though. Sit rep. We are boiling some water for tea. Um, I'm editing that stream and I'm about to post it to YouTube. I cut out all the goofy island shopping in the middle of the stream. Um, it's got about 8 minutes left before it's done compressing, and then we'll upload it to YouTube. Great. I can't minimize Premiere. Wow, God, it's such a terrible program. Such a terrible program. Nah, we're doing Earl Grey this morning. Oh. Sit rep. Tea is now steeping. Okay. Last night, well, let me put a marker here that we're starting. Boop. Last night, we worked on some animation features. And one of them was this if clause that can go on a few different things in the animation graph. That seems to work fine. However, this is not all the functionality that we need because, let me close some things. I'm going to close this and I'm going to close the bug list. I'm not going to close the Elite Sub text lounge because that's important. Premiere, we're just going to let it go in the background. Okay. So what we've got going on now is we have this charmed variable. So this character is the bard. Please ignore the skippiness due to loading animations. This character is the bard, and when she goes within a certain distance of this dude, he gets charmed. He's not supposed to be standing there like that, so impassively, but that's the part that we're going to address today. But if he goes into a different animation state, let me load all his animations. If he goes into a different animation state and then pops back, then he'll go into this like charmed dancing state, which is actually what we want. And so that is caused by this if statement here. Right? So what we want to do is fix this thing. Let me have him go back. Oh, it was... So his animation doesn't... Ooh, you know what? What I was thinking about was not really enough. I may have to send an email. Okay, so the problem we have is the following. I'm trying to have one, instead of having a state for like inactive charms, I'm trying to boil it all down into one particular state. And that doesn't necessarily seem to work that well. And the reason is, we're just trying to say, like, look, the animation is this if this variable is true, otherwise it's this. And we want to play some transition. And I was thinking, oh, well, we just want to play the transition to charmed. And we'll make some command that says to do that. The problem is we want a transition to charmed and a transition to not charmed. One tied to if charmed equals true and the other tied to if charmed equals false. But we really only want those things to happen if the value of this changes. Right? So like, if charmed was not true and it becomes true, or if it is true and becomes false, do one of these things. So the question is, do we just build that into this command? I don't know. I'm not sure what's the best thing. I deleted the previous VOD so that I don't get Twitter rage mobbed, but it'll be up shortly. Don't worry about it. I'm just editing it down. In fact, it might... Oh, 1 minute, 33 seconds till it's done saving. Tea is not oversteeped. It's just right. It is true that you don't want to oversteep Earl Grey. So this is one of those things where I'm not sure what to do. So I want to add something like go. Let's figure out what the. Okay, so he has this for go state charmed, but we don't really send that message. We could. I'm not sure what the best way is to do it. The tea is too hot to sip rep right now. So I was thinking before the start of the stream that we do something like, go to if charmed is true, right? But we don't actually want this to happen in the steady state if charmed is true and if we're in this state, because it'll just keep firing because we go back to this state when we were charmed. So we want like becomes instead of if, we could say like when or on. Or we could do this a different way. The thing is, then this, oh, sip rep. We just spilled the tea all over the place. I mean, most of it is still here, and yet the quantity of water spilled is substantial. Good thing you can't see any of this. It certainly would be traumatizing if you did. Okay. Could you just make charmed a different state? Well, that's what it was. So the problem with making charmed too much of a different state is the following, So this is the different state that the animator had made, and there's a whole bunch of states because look at all this crap. And maybe you need that to animate well. I don't know. I don't actually know, but these look mostly like what we already have. The problem is just I don't want to be in the business of the gameplay code getting too super specific about what all the messages are all the time. Like this state machine then has to have coded into it very specific rules about, okay, if we get a message from the gameplay system, then, you know, go to this place. So like if we're here and we get like go state uncharmed, then go to inactive idle, right? The problem is you then get this weird case where this thing has to care way too much about the gameplay code and what it happens to say. Like the gameplay code, like when do you send particular messages under what conditions? So say we do an undo, right? I guess we have to resend a charmed message in order for the graph system, if it's programmed this way, to do the right thing. That seems weird. It seems like a lot of that. It seems like that will grow over time into a lot of picky maintenance that has to be synced between the gameplay code and the animation graph, and it's just going to make things big and ugly. So the question is, how do we make things not big and ugly? Well, I don't know. Maybe there's a case where a visual tool would have helped a bit, even if complicated to set up. Visually would have made a bit more sense. I'm not sure. I don't think visual tools help with this particular thing. I think you would have just as spammy visuals as you do lines of text here. I don't see how it helps. Although I could be missing something there, it's true. Am I doing animation development on an empty stomach? Yes. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. But this is a legit difficult problem that I don't know the answer to. Let's have some pistachio nuts and solve the empty stomach situation. I think this is the right way to do it. I just want some word for this. I mean, for now, this is the right way to do it. And then later, you know, maybe we can change it. But I don't necessarily want if becomes true. Maybe we just say if becomes. Something like that. If happens, So we could do that. Well, this would implicitly be keeping the previous state. That's the point. Oh, you mean explicitly say if... You mean explicitly say if something like that. Well, there might not be a previous if we're on the first frame. Like what this is all doing is saying, hey, if we just go to this state, this is the animation, right? If this changes somewhere in the middle, then we go to this place that plays this transition. So, I don't know. I don't know, man. Could it be described in terms of regex on the state sequence? We're not going to write a regex manager on this. My thoughts on visual scripting for stuff like this than text-based is it's the same damn thing. It's just a different visualization, right? If you can't solve the problem clearly in text, then the visuals aren't going to help, right? The thing the visuals do is maybe help you see things more clearly than the text, like what the relationships are between things. But it's not going to solve a problem like this for you magically. That's why I do the text representation first, is because you have to know how things work, right? And it factors your solution to the problem. You build this system that works in text, solves the problem effectively, then you can do the graphical part, and you know, it helps you make progress without like rat holing on graphical things when you're just trying to solve the problem. Can you negate if happens? Well, we haven't done it yet. What do you mean, can you negate it? I mean, you can do this, right? That would negate it. So I don't know if there's a need to put a negation in the if happens. So the thing I'm realizing, though, is we probably do need all this garbage anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. Well, let me send an email real quick. So I'm just saying doing it this way with an if on state active is not really the way to handle it. Mirror the active states, not the inactive ones. We could just have the guy go to active. Going to do the go feature and we'll see how that helps. We'll check this in and okay. Visual programming eliminates an entire class of errors, and their class of errors non-programmers find frustrating. Its value mostly lies there. Yeah, basically. Basically, that's true. I think saying it eliminates a class of errors is a slight overstatement, but it mostly eliminates a class of errors. Of course, it introduces another class of errors and problems that people usually ignore as happening. So there's that. Okay. No, this, okay, wait. This that you're seeing here is not that programming language. This is just our animation file format. Sometimes the chat bots are not helpful. This is like not a full programming language that you're looking at here. Okay. So when we do this if happens thing, yeah, okay, let's just do this now. We're going to turn off this clause, and we're going to try to make this whole situation work. So the first thing is we're going to make it parse, because it will not. Yeah, unknown command go. So go is going to be just like message. It's going to take all the same parameters as message, except the message name. So here where we say message, we're going to, we'll do go here, because message was the original one. If, what was this variable that we're switching off? If command is message, then we break by spaces, right? Okay. If we didn't get a message name and command is message, then we complain. Okay, otherwise we add an arc. That's great. So this will parse now, I think. Yeah, so we don't have if happens. This parses. Now the thing is, it doesn't necessarily do what we want. So we're going to want this condition. Let's make the if happens parse as well. Oh, we don't have an if clause on message. Okay. Okay. So we're going to add an if condition onto both message and go, because these are now the same thing. Okay. So this thing parses all the arguments for message. Okay, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to say, if we get an if happens or an if, then we call parse if clause success clause parse if clause handler comma remainder. Why is this way out here? And then how does this work? Okay, we call it in a loop. Okay. Return. We're going to have parse if clause. Previously, we only parsed if clause in a special case where we knew it was the only thing. Now that's not going to be the case anymore. So okay, we've got to do something with this if clause. Maybe we don't need all these if clauses, but for now we're doing it that way. So if success arc.message if clause is clause. We're not going to use that yet. We're just going to set it. I'm just going to print that we saw this. And we're going to return success. We don't want to pass remainder because parse if clause wants to know if it's an if or an if happens. So we repass commands without the break by spaces. Okay. So that happens there. I don't know. Did we forget something so far? Oh, the semicolon after through. Oh, right, parse if clause needs to return the remainder. True result. Let's have this be a default return value. So we just throw away the remainder if we fail to parse. Otherwise, remainder after constant. Get rid of that. I'm going to call this line. So this is just our constant value, and we break by spaces, and we get stuff. So something like that. Hopefully I didn't break stuff too bad. Remainder as type mismatch. Wanted string given. I'm returning things in the wrong order. It's weird. I often return success as the first thing. Okay. How bad did we break everything by doing that? Well, we parsed an if clause on a message. The variable is charmed equals true enabled. Okay, well, that's all fine. However, all sorts of things are broken. Did you see our guy lay down there? What happened? Oh, that could just be caused by, okay, so remember, we're not evaluating, like, okay. I don't know what happens here if we do this go with no message name. So let's take that out. We want to make sure that we didn't break the old functionality at all. So I'm running around. He's running around. It's fine. This looks kind of reasonable. Oh, wait, why didn't that? What the hell? Rendering error. We must have kicked ourselves out of the level due to this weird graphical problem we were seeing here. Okay. I mean, he's going into different animation poses and stuff. So it looks like all the old things are working. I don't know. That's broken, but that's been broken for a while, so we're not going to begrudge that. Like the energy field thing that doesn't currently look like much like an energy field did not go all the way down. I'd just like to sit here and play the levels, man. It's a sign of when a game is fun. You just want to play the levels. Okay. What sort of automated testing? Well, you certainly have not watched our previous streams where we do the automated testing. Okay. So it seems like this thing was what was screwing things up, but that's okay. There are plenty of reasons why that would happen. So the first thing we're going to do, so remember when I added support for Go, it's like the same as message completely, except the message string is empty. So we want to evaluate these every frame, which is something we're not really doing. We might have been spuriously triggering this because we did a Go empty message string, like maybe somebody sends an empty message. I don't know. But nevertheless, what we want to do, and so, you know, we keep these in a list somewhere. I think we want to keep this in a separate array because these are conditions that we want to evaluate every frame, and you want to do that at least somewhat efficiently, right? You don't want to look at all this other stuff and say like, oh, well, no, none of these are things we care about, right? You just want this to happen. And I think this being in the same array as these other things may also be causing some of the confusion. So we're going to bring this back, but we're going to say what are we going to say? We're going to say well, we're going to go back here. When we say add arc, right, which is this thing that we call, whether it's go or go message, we call add arc. And if the message name is empty, wait, other people call it with, no, yes. Oh, right, empty message name means when done right now. So let's not do it that way. I was going to pass an empty message name and say, well, okay, is active condition. I don't know what to call that. Oh, you know what? We already test these other things. Blah. Okay, we're not going to try to optimize this. We're not going to try to optimize this. What do we want to do? Okay, so right now we say if message is empty, this must be the when done arc, which is fine when the system is simple. But once we start wanting other things with an empty message string, we don't really want that to be the policy anymore. Okay. So I want to find some place that assumes, I don't really see that. I don't see what would be causing this. Let's just say, let's pick a state that we know works. So we never used the charm transition, so I don't know if that's there, but we can go to state dead with a short blend, right? And that should be visible because we know this guy has a death animation. So, oops, here we walk there. Okay, well, so it's when his animation is repeating. So yeah, this is acting as a when done. So like he's playing his animation and then when it runs out, he's going to. So it thinks this is a when done. Let's look for empty strings, not in the parsing, but in. I didn't see arc.message. Wow. Wow, what is going on? We might just have to set a breakpoint here to figure out why this is happening. So here is what's happening is we're getting here. Oh, okay. So we're saying when done equals, oh, there we go. Right there. Right there. That's what does it. So we're just going to say here, instead of just saying if no message, actually, we'll just do this. In fact, yeah, copy string won't do anything if it's the empty string. So we'll just do that. And we don't even need this, I don't think, because we were going to use that to put it in another list, but we're not doing that. All right. So now he shouldn't ever fall down and die, hopefully. We should see this repeat. Yeah, it's repeating. He's staying inactive. So that's good. It's no longer confused by the message name being empty. Well, so we're going to keep that dead state there because it's easy to spot. And so now in the same place where we evaluate the when done, you know, when done is a little clause that says, hey, at the end of a particular frame or when an animation that we're playing back finishes, you know, go to this next state in the animation state machine. Well, that gets evaluated every frame, and no, that's the parsing. I almost want to put the parsing in its own file. Let's not rat hole on that, but we might do that next. Because, you know, I keep searching for animation evaluation things. And I keep seeing parsing things. So, like, and in the shipping game, we're probably not going to parse these files at all, right? Which is a good reason to factor that into a separate file so we can define that file out. You know, we're probably going to have them precompiled to a binary format. Yeah. Okay. So this is the per frame update. Okay. For current node.arcs, and we want to look for if message if clause enabled, right, that'll only be enabled if we have a go with a condition. Okay. Now is when it gets a little bit weird. So first of all, we don't want to fire. Okay. Only compare versus the previous value if this isn't the first frame we are in this arc. Something else I forgot. We'll come back to it. The clothing of the characters is animated, but it's animated by a simulation in the animation tool. We still have to tweak the parameters of the simulation somewhat. I don't totally like the way it looks, but you know, it is what it is. Okay. Actually, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do vanilla if. We're not going to do the previous value yet. We're going to do an always version. And so the if clause is going to have this is if happens. Because remember I said we want to know which kind this is if it's if. Okay. If keyword is equal to if happens, result dot is if happens is true. Well, why don't we just actually, now let's do this. You wouldn't believe it, but this is faster code than the other one by default. Okay. So if it's an if happens, just give it a shorter name. If clause is if happens, okay. Evaluate if clause. State current node Yeah, I don't think we want destination. I think we want the current node always, because you could start having ifs on things like what's my time in the current node or something. I don't know. Okay. We evaluate the if clause there. If it's true, then what do we call it? Switch to node. Actually, we really want I delete this comment here. Really, we kind of want kind of want to factor this stuff out. Although we're starting to get into scary, like if I refactor this logic here, we maybe break existing stuff. But like what I want to do is I want to make maybe a function that returns bool called like arc is relevant. So these time conditions control whether it's relevant. This ignore clause controls whether it's relevant, but that could be the same thing. I kind of want to check in before I do that. I'm going to make a note here, enhance me, that says we're going to get this most basic version in there. Okay. See, we want to do all this stuff. We're just going to make it work, and then we're going to clean it up later. So we're going to say we get blend the duration. Do we do this turning direction? Did I do that? Dude, I don't remember that at all. What the hell? Now we gotta... When did this happen? This looks like something that I did, but I don't remember doing it. Maybe somebody else did it. It is something that I added. Yep. Yep. Well, just is what it is. Okay. So we get the fade time and seeking. And we'll factor these together. Yeah. Arcs is not a member of animation node. It's message arcs. That's what it's called. Oh geez, do we already have something called arc here? No. Okay. Well, if all that works, then he'll like fall down dead if I walk into range. Ugh. I killed him. And he won't ever get up. Okay, unless I undo, of course. Okay. So if I walk into range, okay. So instead of falling down dead, oh, we crashed. Crashed our thing by hot loading. Was it the blend 0 or was it something else? Let's see. Wait. What? All right, so we did that weird zombie looking thing. And then, okay, so if he's in... I don't know. This just looks like spam to me. We need to cut down on the number of messages here. Anyway, So now maybe he'll uncharm. Yep. That's weird. That's just got to be a bug. This is just, there's an old animation. Charm to active. Charmed idle to active idle. It's such an old animation that, like, the reason he went laying on the side there is because all these names didn't exist, because, like, the animation is so old that it uses old names in the rigging. Why do I sometimes copy paste a comment 3 lines? It's so that I see it clearly. It'd be cool if you did a director's commentary mode for The Witness, kind of like Valve used to do for Portal. Well, maybe someday. I don't think that'll happen anytime soon. Was I Twitch staff? Why would I be Twitch staff? Why would I work at twitch.com? Doesn't make sense. Can I say anything about my big project? No. No. How much speed up do I think I'd be able to get if I were to rewrite the compiler? The main effect that would have on speed up would be to make it easier to multi-thread things confidently. If we finish our multi-threading features, which are not yet done. So, you know, man. Okay, well, I'm just going to not do the if happens thing yet, even though we sort of did that. And yeah, I have that down here as a to-do. I'm just going to check this in, and because we kind of need to have a team conversation about how to use this stuff and what best to do. Was there already a talk about multi-threading features? No, there wasn't. No, there wasn't, because I could only do so many things at one time, people. All right, well, let me send a mail for this. Well, let's make sure we didn't crash anything while I'm sending the mail. It's a little hitchy while it loads all the animations, but yeah, we'll just let that go in the background. Okay. I just added a new command, go, that will switch to a different animation state without a message if a condition becomes true. If a condition is true. Coordination between the gameplay code and the animation graph, right? When we start talking about charmed states, like recovery from the charmed states, depends on a lot of tweaky sending of messages at specific times that would be easy to get wrong on one end or the other. Here you can just check whether the variable is true and condition is true and it go based on that. So going into the future, when we want to make something happen, develop an idea of what kinds of things are messages and what just gets done with variables. And what gets done with variables, in principle, though, we should have less coupling already between game code and the graph, which means that there is less waiting on me to implement messages when there are variables that can be used. Of course, there are almost no variables right now, so not much actually has changed yet, but in principle this becomes a bigger change as we add more variables. Okay, I'm going to send that email. This hasn't crashed. Is there a playlist or a website where you can listen to all the rants? Well, I made a rant playlist on YouTube. It only has the most recent rant in it. So maybe we'll add more rants to that over time. Okay. Send this email. And that might be it for the stream. I kind of want to take a nap, honestly. Yeah, a bunch of the levels failed. It's because some of the gameplay features do not test correctly right now due to timing situations, and the number of those has increased lately because we added a bunch of new wacky levels. But the animation features that we just added should not have any effect on gameplay. Actually, there's a loose way in which they could, but that would also represent things about the test and replay system that need to be fixed anyway. So the fact that those levels failed to test is not really relevant. We were checking there just to make sure we don't crash or infinite loop or do something like that. Oh, you know, here, here we return. If we add stuff to the bottom leader, this should be changed. Don't evaluate when done. All right. Oh, we should take out that print statement. And then let's also see if he's like uncharming and I charm him again. He doesn't recharm yet. So charmed idle to inactive idle. Oh, dude. Okay, we have to fix that as well. The hot loading is like not. Like if I just hot load the, well, let's test this first. So there, he's coming out of it. Go back in. Yeah. Coming out, go back in. Yeah. All right. Let's take out this print. Okay. And then, why are we crashing when we frickin' hot load? That's the bad news bears. Okay, so I'm just gonna go here. I'm gonna like modify the file trivially. Okay, that didn't crash us. That didn't crash us. That didn't crash us. Weird. I'm not crashing us. Dude, I don't know what's going on. Is using a procedure still a thing? Yes. Do I do that in Sokoban? I don't remember. I don't remember. Poor guy. He's just getting owned. Let's put some more characters. Let's see which characters have animations. Only that guy. Nobody else has them yet. All right. Maybe you saved with a syntax error. No, because it worked when I restarted. I mean, we could try it. I don't know. There's some kind of problem, but I don't know what it is. Hopefully, we will find it over time and report it. Okay. Thanks everybody for coming by. We might do a stream later today, much later today, I guess. You missed it. Maybe so. We still have to debug our scale factor. So I'll show you what we're going to do sometime. We have this issue where the scaling stuff that we did is not currently correct for some scales. So for example, see this? This rectangle on this thinger is supposed to be stretching so that it touches the bases of these cones, which was at 1.0, and it's stretching too far. So that's bad. But then we isolated that out because if we test in all dimensions, like look at that. Oh God, that's totally wrong, right? So we have to fix that. So that'll be an interesting stream. I screwed something up. Yeah. Yeah, Z seems to work, which is funny. So I don't know what's going on there. Would I use Linux if it had Visual Studio? No, because God. Well, sorry that I'm signing off right when you came on, but you can, of course, watch the VOD. And I'm about to upload to YouTube now this previous video. Wow, it's 10 gigs. There is a feature for animation. So we did it. We did a bunch of stuff. It was the previous stream before this one. Dude, I don't even remember what we did. Oh. We can wait on animation messages until a certain time occurs, kind of buffering them up and handling them later. Oh, and we started the if statements that we were using today. So that's what that stream is. And I'm going to upload that to YouTube right now when I sign off. So let's find someone to host. No, let's try game dev. I forgot to turn the eye tracker on again. It's the problem. Wow. Look at all the game development. Pixelblah in German. I don't think we should do that.
Fragen, warum ein Spiel spielt, wenn man danach Geld ausgibt, um es möglichst kurz zu spielen.
I don't know German.
Das ist ja der
Crosscode 1.0 release stream.
Hardest decisions. Hashtag release.
Yeah, the thing is, we kind of remember startup is stubborn enough.
Need the balls. What the hell is wrong with you people?
I know. We can't.
Well, that's also not development. Exactly. Weapon creation. We want programming. A dungeon crawler with spell crafting.
Not my personal game, the company I work for.
This doesn't look like programming.
It's $5 off for the next hour.
Corner piece. We could host him again. We've done that a bunch. Dude, I don't know. Let's go to just general programming. Attempting a stack class data structure. No. No. Dude, I don't know. I just don't know. Sometimes I just look and my eyes glaze over. Silent C++. I don't know what that is. I wish more people did more serious big, like you look down here and it's all, there's a lot of projects where you're like, yeah, this person's working on this for 1 week and then giving up. You know what? Well, let's see what this is. Doesn't seem to be any talking or, oh, in silence. Well, we can do this because it's different. Thanks everyone for coming by, and I'll see you later.